Well, we are tracking a first alert weather day due to continuous rainfall that could lead to some localized flooding. Now, the big picture here, we have a cold front. It is slowly working its way across the southeast. Essentially, it's stalling out, and that will continue to bring in waves of scattered showers and storms. But following the front, much more refreshing and comfortable weather will begin to settle on in. Already starting to see some of these heavier downpours work into the forecast, especially south of La Follette. That's where I'm seeing the most steady rainfall at this point. In fact, a very steady stream of moisture from Norma all the way into Morris Lake and pushing eastward to the south of Tazewell. So if you're out and about this morning, there are a few localized areas that you might come across some of this heavy rainfall that could lead to some ponding on the roadways. In addition to that, we're not necessarily done with the active weather. Scattered showers and storms continuing throughout this morning off and on, and yet again this afternoon with that final push of moisture with this cold front leading to the potential of seeing showers and storms training over the same location, which essentially means flooding is possible, and we could see some heavy amounts of rainfall in a fairly short period of time. A lot of this going to fall over the course of the next 24 hours. So this morning, scattered showers and storms, especially along the Tennessee-Kentucky state line. However, outside of that, still going to be tracking some of these downpours. Use this as guidance, not necessarily gospel, as some of these might trickle down a little bit further south a little bit sooner, but anticipate off and on downpours with a lot of rainfall associated within any of this activity. And then most of it should start to clear on out late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Still could be tracking a few showers early Thursday morning, but the big thing you'll notice is the refreshing air finally settling on in towards the end of the week. Mid 80s, but lower humidity. And then we're just tracking a few showers by the weekend.
City, thanks.